So hello, today we're going to talk about the OnePlus Nord 2 and how Oppo has been continuously been involved in the creation of OnePlus smartphones. Like they have been involved in the past as well, but not as deeply as now. And before talking about that, I just want to mention all of the specs, all of the pros and cons of the OnePlus Nord 2 smartphone. So yeah, let's start. So the pros of the OnePlus Nord 2 is that it comes with a Dimensity 1200 AI processor, which is as powerful as say the Snapdragon 860 or the Snapdragon 870, which was equivalent to Snapdragon 865 Plus. So yeah, it is a pretty capable processor, but it is not as powerful as the Snapdragon 888. But at this price, I think it shouldn't be, because the OnePlus 9 Pro is a way more expensive phone compared to the OnePlus Nord. So yeah, the processor is a pretty good processor, so I'm involving this in the pros section. The second pros is that in India it has 9 5G bands. I think the iPhone 12 lineup and the some Motorola phone has like 13 bands in India. This is the first OnePlus phone which has 9 bands, because the OnePlus 9 and the OnePlus 9 Pro had only 2 bands, and they were way more expensive than the Nord 2 was. So the Indian market is a prime target for OnePlus, and they're targeting the mid-range segment instead of the flagship, because no one mostly buys a flagship phone in India because people think that it is way more expensive and it doesn't do the job as well as a mid-ranger does, because it's going to do the same thing but it's more expensive, and also it's more premium. But the premiumness for the OnePlus 9 has been lost because it doesn't have OIS, it doesn't have wireless charging, etc, etc. There are a lot of missing features for the OnePlus 9 in India itself, so a lot of people wouldn't go for the OnePlus 9. So the Nord 2 is actually the successor for the Nord. And the next big thing, a big pro, is that it comes with a 65-watt charger, and again at this price point that's a pro. So it has dual speakers, one on the side and one on the front, so it gives you an immersive audio. I thought they would be cutting corners here by giving you just a single speaker, but they didn't, which is a good thing. So it comes with the same cameras as the OnePlus 9 Pro, so in terms of camera it doesn't lack anything. And if you compare it with the previous generation Nord, the daylight pictures are almost comparable. I don't think they tinkered around with the software that much, but the night mode performance has been improved significantly with the OnePlus Nord 2. And the OnePlus Nord 2 also has Oppo's camera app instead of the OnePlus camera app from previous generations of OnePlus phones. So that's something new, and I think they're going to be using Oppo's color processing or Oppo's camera processing. The cons are that the two other cameras are useless. It has a 50 megapixel main camera and a 8 megapixel ultra wide. Like the 8 megapixel ultra wide is okay, but when you shift from the main sensor to the ultra wide sensor, the camera, the color processing is completely different, and everything is just changed. It's like using a completely new set of cameras. Like with iPhones, that is simply not the case. They reduce it to a comparable level, but the OnePlus phones don't have that. And the third camera, which is a 2 megapixel monochrome camera, which a monochrome lens is a black and white filter for your main camera. Like you're seeing a color version of me, and if you use a monochrome camera you'll see a black and white version of me. Basically a complete gimmick, and nobody in 2021 uses a third monochrome camera. I would say a macro camera for 2 megapixels is way better compared to a 2 megapixel monochrome camera. And the second con is that ColorOS has been creeping into Oxygen OS more and more. So why I'm saying this is because the settings app and the camera app, as I mentioned before, is the same thing as which found in ColorOS, and also which is found in the Realme UI. So that's the big concerning factor for me, because I think that day by day it's becoming ColorOS, and that's what scares me. And the main thing that scares me the most is that the bloatware and the ads which are going to be found in ColorOS they can just put out an update and just change everything on a OnePlus smartphone. We have to wait a couple of years for this to at least happen. I'm guessing this will eventually happen, but as of right now, there are no bloatware and there are no ads on the Nord 2. In that terms, it gets a thumbs up from me, but I'm still including this as a con. So the third con is the confusing pricing. This phone is launching at 28,000 in India, and for this price, this model has not even been available yet. They haven't even started manufacturing this version of the smartphone, which is 6GB RAM and 128GB ROM variant. This has not been even started to manufacture yet, but they've included this. We never know when it's going to show up on the stores. To show the pricing lower, they just say that this smartphone is going to come, but it's not even started manufacturing yet. So the 8GB RAM and 128GB, which starts at 30,000 rupees or $399, is the version which is going to be available. The 30,000 version of the phone is the phone that is going to be available, and the 35,000 one, which is I think 8GB of RAM and 256GB of storage. So as you found out the pros and cons of the device, I just want to mention that OnePlus a few years ago has been a customer driven company, and now I think that the connection between the consumer and the company is been feeling a bit odd. It's just they don't listen to the consumer anymore. They just do whatever they want like all other companies. That's not a bad thing, but I feel like they're making a couple of bad decisions lately, like with the OnePlus Watch, as you've known before, and the OnePlus 9 and the OnePlus 9 Pro wasn't a really great device to begin with. One thing that I do have to mention is that they have spent a lot of money in the marketing of the OnePlus Nord itself. Like if you watch the event, it was rated 18 plus, and I was not able to watch this event. It says this content is age restricted, so yeah. And they were showing like a commercial, like really cool commercial, like the Apple Mission Impossible commercial that we saw a few months ago. They were doing something like that, but they took it to a complete new level. It was completely bizarre, something that we've never seen before. And I would say that the event was actually kind of better than what Apple did. Let's see what they do in the future. So that's me. I'm your host, Ravi Srinivasan, and make sure to follow me on social media and subscribe to this channel if you like this video, and also give it a like. That's it.